The responsibility of it is so heavy for me. I feel I can never live my life, and I never used to say it. I never used to say anything to anybody, but since we've been doing this show.
For years, fans believed they knew the Braxton family's story. They watched the arguments, the tears, the reconciliations, and the emotional breakdowns unfold on reality television. From the outside, it seemed like a family struggling with fame, money, and sibling rivalry. But what if those public fights were only symptoms of a much deeper problem? What if the real story began decades before the cameras ever started rolling? Recently, old interviews, emotional confessions, and explosive family therapy sessions have resurfaced online, causing fans to revisit one uncomfortable question.
Evelyn could say some things out her mouth that are really cutting.
But your daughters are being held emotionally hostage to your ex-wife's bitterness towards you. You and her need to get on the same side of the table and free those girls. Because the elephant in the room that nobody will talk about is Evelyn Braxton's attitude.
Was the Braxton family's dysfunction really caused by the sisters, or was there something much bigger happening behind the scenes? And according to many viewers, the answer may point directly to the person who was supposed to be holding the family together. Because the more people dig into Toni Braxton's story, the more they believe that her greatest struggle wasn't the music industry, financial troubles, or even her health battles. It may have been the emotional burden she carried inside her own family for more than 30 years.
Letting your mother run your life.
How dare he try to tell me how to raise my kids after he have abandoned us? He has some nerve.
Y'all have lives to live yourself, and she can't run her life, her home, and your home too.
You know what? Had you been home long enough to help me to raise them, it wouldn't be such a problem. But where were you? Out there hanging in the street,
What did you do
doing
all
whatever
day?
you were
What
big
did you
enough
do
to do.
all day long?
What did you do?
What did you do?
When Braxton Family Values first premiered, viewers immediately connected with the family dynamic. Toni was already a global superstar with multiple Grammy Awards and countless hit songs. Tamar was outspoken and ambitious. Tawanda, Trina, and Tracy each brought their own personalities into the mix. And standing above them all was their mother, Evelyn Braxton, who often presented herself as the strong matriarch, guiding her daughters through life's challenges. At first glance, it seemed admirable. Evelyn appeared protective, involved, and deeply invested in her children's success. But as the seasons continued, some viewers began noticing a pattern that felt impossible to ignore. Nearly every major conflict somehow circled back to unresolved issues from the past. Conversations that started about careers, relationships, or family disagreements often ended with references to old wounds that never seemed to heal.
Because you went to my house and had sex in my bed? So you mad with me? You know? You mad with me because you bring this woman in my bathroom and y'all have sex in my bathroom with the candles?
It was romantic, Lord.
Candles all around the tub? And she's gonna leave her big underwear on the floor? So you mad with me because I would not tolerate this mess?
Then came a therapy session that changed how many people viewed the entire family. During one of the show's most talked about moments, a family therapist made a statement that instantly shifted the atmosphere in the room. Instead of focusing on the daughters, she suggested that the Braxton sisters were still carrying emotional burdens created by their parents' failed marriage. The therapist implied that unresolved bitterness had become a weight that the daughters were still being forced to carry decades later. The room immediately became tense. What made the moment so shocking wasn't simply what was said, it was how everyone reacted. The conversation suddenly exposed a possibility that many fans had never considered before. Maybe the family's biggest issue wasn't sibling rivalry at all. Maybe the real problem had always existed at the center of the family structure itself. And once that possibility entered the conversation, viewers began re-examining everything they had seen over the years.
Now, friends, when we talking about the Braxton family values, we really got to talk about the real problem, the mama. The mama was causing so many problems. The mama was the reason why all them girls had an issue with each other. That she was the reason why all of them had some type of deep-rooted issue with each other. Because every time, and I mean, every time she sat there and led the discussion, it showed, you're the reason why this girl feels like this. You are egging a lot of things on instead of really nipping it.
To understand why this moment resonated with so many people, you have to understand the pain that came before it. There is no question that Evelyn Braxton experienced a devastating betrayal. According to numerous accounts shared over the years, Michael Braxton's infidelity destroyed their marriage. The details were painful and humiliating. Evelyn openly discussed the heartbreak she endured and the emotional scars left behind by her husband's actions. Most people would sympathize with her. In fact, many viewers did. Betrayal of that magnitude can change a person forever. But while nobody questioned Evelyn's pain, some began questioning what happened afterward, because healing from betrayal and holding on to betrayal are two very different things. And according to many observers, the divorce may have ended legally, but emotionally, it never truly ended at all.
I feel like I do. I feel like they don't let me fly. I don't.
I heard you say that.
I don't give myself permission to fly because
There you go.
That's it. Waited.
That's it.
Over time, stories emerged suggesting that maintaining a relationship with Michael Braxton was not always easy for the children. This created an impossible emotional dilemma. Imagine being a child forced to navigate a situation where loving one parent feels like betraying the other. Imagine constantly worrying that your relationship with your father might hurt your mother. For years, the Braxton daughters appeared trapped in exactly that situation. Instead of being free to form their own relationships with both parents, many fans believe they were pressured to carry emotional responsibilities that should never have belonged to them in the first place. And among all the sisters, nobody seemed to carry a heavier burden than Toni. As Toni's music career exploded in the early 1990s, she quickly became one of the biggest stars in the world. Songs like Another Sad Love Song, Breathe Again, and Unbreak My Heart transformed her into a household name. Millions of records were sold, awards poured in, opportunities seemed endless. From the outside, it looked like Toni had achieved every dream imaginable, but behind the scenes, a very different reality may have been unfolding. With success came expectations, and according to multiple accounts, those expectations extended far beyond her music career. Toni wasn't simply expected to succeed, she was expected to bring everyone else with her.
Let me know if you're picking up what I'm putting down. So looking at Tina Knowles and her children, and looking at Evelyn Braxton and her girls, it's proof to me that forgiveness or unforgiveness and bitterness can trickle down to your kids. I feel like Tina Knowles is the reason why Solange and Beyonce are able to persevere and press through adversity with grace and poise. I know this is a weird way to put it, but Beyonce and Solange was able to see their parents go through a healthy divorce. Even Miss Tina acknowledged that they did not go back and forth. And honestly, she had every reason to be bitter and not forgive him for having an outside baby on her. And then on the other hand, we can look at Miss Evelyn Braxton and see why her daughters are still on each other's neck in their 40s.
At first, that might sound noble. After all, many successful people help support their families. But there is a difference between helping and carrying. And according to those familiar with the family's story, Toni often found herself carrying responsibilities that never seemed to end. Every new opportunity reportedly came with reminders about family obligations. Every achievement came with pressure to ensure that everyone else benefited as well. What started as support slowly began looking more like responsibility, and responsibility eventually became guilt. Fans began noticing that Toni often appeared exhausted, not physically, but emotionally. There was a sadness beneath the success that seemed difficult to explain. Then came one of the most heartbreaking moments ever captured on the show. During an emotional conversation, Toni broke down while discussing her inability to truly live for herself. The pain in her voice was impossible to fake. She spoke about feeling unable to fly, unable to fully embrace her own life. It wasn't a complaint about fame or work. It sounded like something much deeper. The confession struck viewers because it revealed a woman who had spent decades putting everyone else's needs ahead of her own, and for many fans, it suddenly explained so much about her life.